thing to pop up. There we go. All right, Quentin, you're the first block.
All right. For me, just like doing last minute stuff for DocACon and LitCon, not really much on the assembly line project this week. Fixed one little bug in the review screen generator. But that's it. No blockers.
Cool. Bryce.
I just talked with Matt a bit more, tried to figure out some more stuff we could do to help log in folks, because people still have a lot of trouble with that. I'm trying to think if there's anything blocking. Mostly there's just a lot of, I have been trying to get back into the Java stuff. It's been exceedingly difficult. But there's like not really anything blocking there. And I'm trying to also wrap up like the tons of miscellaneous PRs that I've made and just haven't merged or released or done anything with yet. So I'll just say I'll come back if I remember something in the next 5 minutes that I do have questions on or respond.
All right, cool. Caroline.
I'm still working. I'm just loving DocAssembly more and more.
That love letter.
So I've just been sort of tackling these various problems. I'm not sure I just did. So Jonathan, you guys Michelle and Quentin both had ideas for this one thing I'm trying to do. And then Jonathan chimed in this morning. So I tried Jonathan's solution. I'm not sure I ended up doing what he actually suggested, because it's impossible to understand him half the time. So he sends you these references you have to read. But I hope it works. So there may be a
good.
Sophisticated. And David, I kept hearing in your mind. I mean, hearing you in my mind. Do you really need to do this?
Good question.
But I think part of it is I wanted to figure out how to, I actually, when I'm looking at the interview, I'm thinking maybe this isn't really the right path to go down. But now that I've started this sort of problem, and I've wanted to do this before, I'm not really sure how helpful it is, but it's to create the choices for a checkbox dynamically, conditionally. So if this is true, these are your choices. If this is true, and Quentin was saying sometimes he does multiple questions for that. And there was something else Michelle was saying. So, but it's interesting to think about. So that's good. And then I've been doing a lot of testing with Michelle, and it's going really great. And then all of a sudden it becomes very confusing. She can explain that to you. But yeah, we're just chugging along here.
Chugging along is good.
Yeah.
Chugging along is good. Michelle.
So I haven't had a chance to check Slack since like 8 this morning or whatever.
I, like for the most part, haven't checked Slack in years.
There you go.
That just shows how good you are, David.
Yes.
No, I recently have done some engagement there because I was getting pinged on stuff, and I noticed that. But.
Yeah.
Teams, however, I check more frequently. Just to be clear.
I do notice your participation in Teams more often than every couple of years. Yeah. So the problem with the tests, we keep having this situation arise where either DocAssembly or GitHub seems to cache a set of a set of actions with a branch, and it doesn't matter if you change the code, the same tests keep failing or passing or whatever. They don't change their behavior until you check out a new branch, and the code is the same, but they have a different behavior in the action. And every branch you check out, like you can check out 3 different branches all with the same code, they'll all have that consistent behavior, while the old branch continues to have the old cached behavior. So if anyone has ideas,
I was gonna say I did actually look at this for like 10 minutes but and then I pinged, I like followed up on Slack, which I guess is
Oh,
what you hadn't seen
okay.
yet. But it was specifically that, like, I couldn't, like, I understand the behavior we were talking about, but like in all of the things you had linked and in the repo you had linked, like I couldn't follow which action was coming first and which one was the, like, oh, I tried changing the code here. It had, like, it still has the same failure as
So
before. I
the
couldn't
first
find
one
those.
listed, the first one listed is the one that has the same behavior over and over again.
What's the
And the
behavior
second-
before though? Like what's like
The behavior of the first one is that it fails like 5 tests, even though the code has been changed.
mhm.
And the behavior of branch 2 and 3, which are the same code as that first branch, they are just failing 1 test.
Okay. Okay, so
Correctly. They are correctly failing 1 test.
okay. I think it was mostly I was trying to figure out, because I think like the thing that would help the most is trying to look at the difference between the, not the new branches, but just the, like, here's the original code, it's failing with these 5 tests, and here's the new code on the same branch, it's still failing even though the code looks different. Like that was what I couldn't figure out where the original one was, and that's the thing that I think is the most useful to check against, because
The first one
GitHub
is,
action.
the first link is the original branch, is the action for the original branch.
But you said
Yeah,
that has the new code there,
old
right?
code and what's the new
Yeah.
code. So the old code failed. You change the code, it fails again. So to be able to compare the old code and the new.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, and like
On the
they were
same
all
And get you another
they were
one.
all on different branches, and so like none of them were on main, and so I was mostly just sort of got a little lost, and I was like, I can't, like,
Yeah,
I
in the
don't
time
quite
you
have.
had.
Yeah, in the time I had, I couldn't quite like delve in and try and figure out where everything was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
So, but it mostly, okay, that does clarify this things a little bit. But if you could also, if it's just like, oh, the commit before was the one that was failing correctly with what we know is the wrong code, then if that's good enough, I can take another quick look at things this afternoon and try and see
The code was right. Never mind. I can try and clarify the order of operations and try and find a link for the code before it changed and after it changed.
Yes,
I don't know if you kept those tests, Caroline. Did you keep
I did.
all the
I
tests?
didn't. I think I did.
The-
Yeah.
the
I mean,
older-
once you
the
said
older
to keep them,
failing
I kept
test.
them.
Okay, she may have deleted the code before the new commits, so I don't know.
We'll have to. I will go back and it'll happen
But-
again.
But
So-
we can change the code on that branch because you're not using it anymore, right?
Is that the first automated test?
First
Yeah,
automated
that's right,
test.
yeah.
So we can change it. So I can make a change.
Okay.
And which I don't know when I will do today, but sometime. But last time this happened, it fixed itself after a while. So even if it fixes itself, it doesn't mean the problem is permanently gone.
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, and it definitely, if it's like fixing itself, it's definitely some sort of caching. But I can't tie what I'm not sure if it's a GitHub caching issue or like a DocAssembly caching issue or something. So
Yeah. Oh. So that's a blocker. Other than that, I'm almost done with input validation.
Oh, the date thing?
Yes, there's still one more. There's one more error that
Almost
I
there.
haven't had a lot of time to work on. But yes, the required validation, when you hide the field, it won't let the user continue. So a hidden field that's required will not let the user continue. And that's a major bug that has to be fixed. So that's exciting.
You can see that. You can see the end. That's something.
Can see the end. I figured out, I think, why that's going on. And then I tried we had an impossible day at Recurse Center where you were supposed to try an impossible task, and that was the one. Bryce, that was the one I tried. Not the validation plugin. I tried to get Python to open a shell, run node, and then like pipe out that stream onto the user's web page. So still haven't figured out the behavior for that. Tried to start it on running Kiln on in a DocAssembly interview. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes.
Exciting. Let me know if
yeah, it's super.
Yeah, let me know if there's anything else I can help with that. I'd be happy to. So
yeah, I think I'll ping you on that. Something about needing to use JavaScript to like ping the server and continuously update the server, but do it in such a way that it does request the variables again so that the value changes.
gotcha.
Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Lots of blockers. Those are all of them I think that I can think of right now, though.
I know that it sounds like lots of blockers, but like progress in right direction.
I hope so. I hope so. Blockers are just, solutions waiting to happen.
That's right. I mean, like if there were no
Challenges.
on the road, like it wouldn't be a very fun drive.
That's right. It's what my
How many metaphors can we cram into this?
Sure. All right, so that's me.
All right, well, cool. Similarly, I don't have much assembly line stuff. Tangentially related, started having some conversations about, a secret that we've been trying to figure out ways of finding to try to stand up a national DocAssembly server for people to access. So still trying to get funding from a couple of different places on that. So talking with people there. But then also yesterday, we got this new glimmer of a possibility that maybe the federal government might like to help out somehow. So see about that.
Nice.
So basically, I was talking to some folks at a subset of the GSA that do this. The group's called the 10X group, and they're doing an investigation. Right now, they're in the middle of a process where they're trying to figure out what their next thing they're going to work on is. And
What's GSA, David?
the General Services Administration in the federal government.
Oh.
They do like everything. It's my
And the
best understanding.
operations.
It's like everything operations for the feds.
General, it really means general, and
See?
but that's where the U.S. Digital Services lives.
Oh.
So like all the like 2010s civic tech initiative stuff came out of there, and like the presidential innovation fellows group. So like it's like the digital service people that sort of coalesced around that time and tried offering all their work to different federal agencies. Anyhow, 10X is like their not quite moonshot place. It's like they're like, what's something we can do with a little effort here that will have a big effect? And they're part of GSA's mandate is focused on like open source software and accessibility and sort of stuff. Is one of their key things. So I floated the idea, and there's already a government cloud infrastructure, cloud.gov, which is sort of like Amazon Web Services for government folks. I was like, you should just make it so that people could spin up DocAssembly servers. And they were intrigued by the idea. We'll see what intrigue turns into. I'm going to set them up to talk with some people. If they like the idea, I mean, they seem to think the logistics of it would be doable. It was something that was in their wheelhouse. The hardest part would be figuring out, as the hardest part always is, it's like, well, when the federal government has to share stuff with state governments, that always gets messy. But they didn't think it was insoluble. And they were already thinking about service provisions to state governments anyway. So it's worth having more conversations. So
Wow.
I get excited just because I think the government should be doing this stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But that's my personal bias. I just want there to be a solution that people can use.
Well, that, I mean, it's very smaller scale, but when I first came to mass law reform, I was saying to Alan that what people really need is not education about the law, but they just need to fill out these blanket forms. And he said, well, the courts should be doing that.
Yeah. Court should help people navigate the complexity that they themselves have created.
But of course, anyway, but it's just so funny. He was like, no, that's not what we're doing. That's the court's job. We're not going to do that. So we've come a little way from there.
Well, I'm not sure we've brought the courts with us.
Well,
well, yeah, it's true. You are the courts now. I forgot. That's
and I mean, we're getting there. You've got Illinois. I mean, okay, they're not building them, but they're very interested. They're just slow because they did that whole forms camp thing was it in the summer? The winter? Because Quentin, you spoke at that, right? The forms camp, and they couldn't believe how popular it was, and they're running it again. And those are all. That's national.
Oh, that's great.
National
NCSC's
State
thing.
Service.
Yeah.
National.
Oh yeah. Update. I'm going to share some of our tools there in March. Is this March? This is March.
I think so. I can't remember, but my point is that they're all about it, right? It just takes them a long time to get there, but they have hundreds of people sign up for these things. So, and they're all courts. Everybody signed up for it. So.
Yeah, the audience size at that event was surprising to me. I'm used to like webinars being like 20, 30 people.
It was surprising to the organizers too, I think. And of course, there's New York. They've been doing it for ages. New York and I guess California has too, haven't they? So.
It'll give it time.
Yeah.
Give it time. Relay race. Not even a marathon. The relay race of marathons. Marathon relay race.
Yeah, that's something.
So just that was exciting to me, and I
very exciting.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not going to hold my breath for anything.
It's so exciting.
But I like to get excited. All right. Anything else anyone need?
I did. I thought of a thing. I for some reason, again, when I was just going through all this old stuff that I've written and not actually deployed, panelists confirming that we are okay with adding a little tiny, like I want to be on a panel checkbox when someone fills out the feedback form.
Oh, panel isn't like a set of users.
Sorry. Yes. Not. Yeah. A user
research panel.
User research panel specific. Not the comp panel.
Yeah. I just was context. Yep. Okay. I'm realizing I'm testing it on the wrong computer. But like that's like it's just like a little tiny checkbox that says I am interested in being a part of a user feedback panel. I just tested it on test and it works well, and we can see like, oh, this is a person's email, and it gives the time that they said, so we can like tend towards people who have said they want to be more recently than like people who said it 6 months ago. But if it works and it shouldn't break things. It is on test. If we're okay with that being on prod and something we're asking and we might do something with in a few months, because I feel like it's going to have to be on for a few months before we really get anyone or get enough people to do a good user research panel.
Yeah, that reminds me, I was speaking with someone yesterday who was connected with Tech Goes Home, which is a nonprofit focused on bridging the digital divide. And it made me think, oh, maybe folks, what they do is they send people home with laptops, basically. That's one thing that they do specifically, at least. It's like, that might be good recruiting pool for user research. I mean, I guess the other thing is students are perfectly fine proxies for the kind of usability testing needs that we're going to have, because there's like so much low-hanging fruit once you start testing it that we'll learn from that group, even though it's a bit far away from our ideal test group.
I agree, we get the low-hanging fruit, but we do need actual users. I don't know. I'm fairly like afraid of falling into
designing for all like other coders or something.
No, I think there's like a specific thing. It's like the idea. It's like all psychological research is done on like like
Weird.
like
Think about
Western
weird.
college age
Weird
students.
18
Yeah,
to
weird.
25-year-old students.
Weird English. I'm sorry, Western. Is the W for weird or what for Western or yeah? But yes,
What's the acronym?
weird. It's like
Oh,
it's like
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
that was the acronym I was trying to think of, and I know like I think
Definitely
stuff it's a bit better than just like your typical undergrad, like psych research, like in terms of like who we could get. But I do think it's a thing that at least like for once we get those low hanging pieces or low hanging fruit, we'll have some pool to reach towards after.
Yeah, no, I'm
Just,
excited about the idea of having this panel, and I think it'll be really helpful. We might be able to like speed up the time when we'll have enough people to pull from if we also think about adding some of the other resources with
I agree.
like nonprofit groups being better than law students, but law students may be rounding it out, so we don't just say, hey, wait, we don't have a perfect panel, so we can't do any testing.
Okay, cool. If we're okay with it, then I will turn it on and broad. And it's just a one line config change, so it's not hard at all. It's just a matter of actually doing it.
It happens in the feedback interview right now, Bryce, or is it at the end of other? Okay.
It's just the feedback.
Just in the-
I
if you
have
do
a separate
feedback,
thing that I'm still testing a little bit. That is the like thumbs up, thumbs down at the end of the interview.
Okay.
So, but that's a separate thing. So
oh, cool. It was a Western, educated, industrialized, rich, democratic.
is rich in there? Is always yeah, rich. Oh, and domestic. Oh, democratic. Yeah.
Democratic, yeah. So that's those are the countries. All that stuff. All right. Cool. Well then, my only other thing is I'll say everyone should tell folks about the conferences. And let's get the word out on those so that we can, get the word out on those.